The cold was silent and deep. Snow fell from the gray sky like soft feathers, covering the broken parts of the crashed shuttle. The ship lay half buried under the frozen winds of the strange planet. Smoke rose gently from one side. There was no movement, no sound, no life until a hand pushed weakly through the snow. Rehan gasped as he pulled himself out from the wreck. His body was sore, his head spinning, and his left shoulder burned with pain. Blood had frozen along the edge of his jacket. His breath came out in white clouds, quick and shaky. The cold bit into his skin. He looked around. The land was endless white and blue, mountains in the distance, and no signs of cities or help. The crash had destroyed all their systems. Ren was the only one who had survived. He didn't remember much, just a flash of alarms, shaking metal, and the sound of someone shouting. Then nothing. He tried to stand but fell back again. His shoulder throbbed. He touched the wound lightly. It was deep, but not bleeding now. His fingers were numb. He needed warmth, shelter, anything. Then he saw them. Tall shapes appeared through the misty snow. Not machines, not humans. They were creatures slim, tall, with soft crystal-like skin that shimmered faintly under the weak sunlight. Their eyes were large, dark, and glowing. They moved with calm steps, their long arms hanging peacefully by their sides. They looked at Rehan but did not come closer. Rehan froze. His mind raced. Were they hostile or friendly? He could not run. He could not fight. He was too weak. One of them stepped forward. Her form was graceful, her eyes filled with quiet emotion. She knelt beside him and reached out, not to hurt, but to help. She placed a warm hand over his wound, and Rehan felt a gentle hum, like a soft vibration. The pain eased just a little. Rehan passed out. When he woke again, he was no longer in the snow. Warmth surrounded him, a soft bed under his body, a strange golden light glowed from the walls. He blinked slowly and looked around. The room was unlike anything he had ever seen, smooth walls of stone that looked like glass, glowing with energy from deep within. Strange plants floated in the air, giving off a peaceful scent. The bed was covered with soft sheets, light as feathers. His wound was wrapped neatly, the bandage made from some kind of soft blue fabric. Rehan sat up carefully. His shoulder still ached, but he felt stronger. His jacket and boots were gone, replaced with a light robe. There were no machines here, no screens or panels, yet everything seemed alive, glowing with soft colors and gentle movement. Then the door opened. Two figures entered. One was the same tall woman who had touched his wound in the snow. She walked slowly, eyes calm. The other figure was taller, wearing a robe of deep silver. A crown of white stone rested on her head. Her eyes were sharp but gentle, filled with wisdom and power. She was clearly a ruler. Rehan stood up, though unsteady. He bowed his head slightly, unsure of what to say. The queen stepped forward and looked at him without speaking. Her eyes focused on his shoulder. Then she looked into his face as if trying to remember something far away. "You are not from this world," she said slowly. Her voice was soft, clear, and had a strange melody. Rehan nodded. "I came from Earth. Our ship was passing through. Something went wrong. We crashed." She studied him for a long moment. "You are the only one alive," she said. Rehan lowered his head. Yes, there was silence. Then the queen turned to the other woman and spoke in their language, smooth and flowing. The woman nodded and left the room. "You were lucky," the queen said after a pause. "The cold takes life quickly here. Yet you survived." Rehan smiled weakly. "I didn't feel lucky." The queen's eyes softened. "You're wound. It is unusual." Rehan looked down at his shoulder. "It's just a cut from the crash. Nothing special." But the queen did not agree. She seemed disturbed. Her eyes lingered on the spot where the wound was hidden under the robe. "There's something about you," she said quietly. "Something I have only seen once before." Rehan frowned. "I don't understand." The queen didn't answer. Instead, she turned and walked toward the door. Before leaving, she looked at him again and said, "Rest. You are safe here for now." Later, Rehan wandered through the palace halls. No one stopped him. The walls whispered softly with moving colors. The windows looked out at a beautiful land of ice and sky. Strange birds flew in the distance. He saw no guards, no weapons. The people walked slowly, with peaceful faces. He met a young girl who introduced herself as Minna. She was small, curious, and spoke his language surprisingly well. "You're human," she said with wonder. "We never thought we'd see one again." Rehan blinked. Again she nodded. "Long ago. A being like you came to our world. It's only a story now. Some say it never happened, but others believe." Rehan felt a strange chill, not from cold, but from inside. "What happened to him?" Minna looked up at him with wide eyes. "He vanished. After saving our world." That night, Rehan couldn't sleep. His wound burned slightly under the bandage, even though it was healing. He sat near a crystal window, watching the stars move slowly above the frozen land. Something about this world pulled at him, something deep. He touched his shoulder lightly and whispered to himself, "Why did she look at me like that?" He didn't know the answer. But in the quiet palace of Shirail, something ancient had stirred, and the queen could feel it. Rehan walked slowly through the glowing halls of the palace. His shoulder still hurt, but he could move without pain now. The place was quiet, almost too quiet. The walls made no sound. The air was warm, but something felt strange. It was as if the building itself was listening. The people of this world, tall, crystal-skinned, gentle-eyed, walked past him with calm faces. They nodded politely, but did not speak to him. Rehan didn't mind. He had too many questions in his mind. The queen's words from earlier kept echoing. "Something I have only seen once before." What did she mean by that? Why did she seem afraid of his wound? It was just a scar. Nothing more, or so he thought. Rehan turned a corner and entered a wide open hall. It was filled with floating lights that moved like stars. In the center stood a round table made of smooth white stone. The queen was there, standing alone, her back to him. She did not turn when she spoke. "You are awake early." Rehan took a few steps forward. "I couldn't sleep. The palace is very quiet." The queen nodded. "It is a place of memory. Silence is part of our way." Rehan stood beside her now. The lights around them floated slowly, casting soft glows on the walls. "May I ask you something?" Rehan said. The queen looked at him. He pointed to his shoulder. "You looked scared when you saw this." Why? She stared at the spot under his robe for a long moment. Then she spoke. "Long ago, in a time before even my elders were born, there was a visitor who came from the stars. He looked like you, spoke like you, but he was not from this galaxy. Our people were in trouble then. The land was breaking. The skies were burning. He helped us. He gave us peace." Rehan listened quietly. The queen's voice lowered. "He had a wound. The same place, the same mark." Rehan frowned. "But that can't be me. I was born on Earth. I've never been here before. I'm just a technician. I fix machines. I don't even know how I survived the crash." The queen turned fully toward him. "That is why I am confused. Your body is different. Your words are not like his. But the mark, it is too close, too exact. It cannot be chance." Rehan looked down, thinking hard. "Maybe it's just a coincidence." She said nothing. He looked up again. "What happened to that man, the one from your story?" The queen walked away from the table, her robe sweeping softly across the floor. She stopped near a small platform and waved her hand. A glowing screen appeared in the air. It showed moving images, strange, smooth pictures of a tall man with a kind face, helping the alien people, touching a dying tree, raising his hand toward a cracking sky. He stayed for some time. The queen said, "He spoke to our leaders. He taught us. He warned us. Then one day, he vanished. Some say he became part of our world. Others say he went back to the stars." Rehan watched the images. The man on the screen did look like him, a little. Not exact, but enough to make him uneasy. "I don't think I'm him," Rehan said again, softly. The queen gave a small nod. "Perhaps, but the past has a strange way of returning." Later that day, Rehan sat with Minna, the curious young alien girl who had become his only friend in the palace. She brought him soft fruit from a silver bowl. It smelled sweet and cool. "You met the queen again?" she asked, eyes bright. Rehan nodded. "She told me a story. About someone like me who helped your people a long time ago." Minna grinned. "The Star One. That's what we call him. My grandmother said he came during a storm and lit up the sky with his hands." Rehan laughed a little. "I don't think I can light up the sky." Minna tilted her head. "Maybe not yet." He looked at her with a smile. "You believe the story?" She nodded. "Yes, I believe someone came. I believe he cared, and I believe he left something behind." Rehan looked out the window. Snow was falling again. The mountains stood far away like silent guards. His heart felt heavy, but calm. He spoke quietly. "I don't want to be anyone special. I just want to fix things, help people. That's why I became an engineer." Minna smiled. "Then maybe that's why you're here." That night, Rehan stood alone in the palace garden. The trees were tall and thin, with silver leaves that moved slowly even without wind. The stars above were bright and close, hanging like lanterns in the sky. The queen joined him. She stood beside him, silent. Rehan didn't look at her. "You said this place remembers things. Does it remember him?" The queen nodded. "Every stone, every light, they carry memory." Rehan turned to her. "Then what do you want from me?" She looked at him with steady eyes. "Nothing. I want to understand. If you are him, then perhaps our past is not finished. If you are not, then perhaps you are here to begin something new." He took a breath. "But I'm just a survivor. Sometimes," she said, "those who survive carry the light for others." They stood in silence under the stars. Rehan felt something stir inside him, not power, not fear, but something like purpose. Later, as he walked back to his room, he passed by a mirror of smooth crystal. He stopped and looked at his reflection. He touched the bandage on his shoulder. "Who are you?" he whispered to himself, and for the first time, he had no clear answer. The sun on trial rose slowly, casting a soft golden light across the crystal palace. The snow outside melted slightly under the morning warmth, forming bright reflections on the windows. Inside the palace, Rehan sat quietly on the edge of his bed, his hand resting on his shoulder. He had slept little. His mind was full of questions. Why did the queen believe he was connected to the being from the past? Why did his wound look like the one in their stories? Was it just a strange chance? Or was there something more? Rehan gently unwrapped the bandage. The skin beneath had healed faster than he expected. There was a long, thin scar across his left shoulder. It wasn't glowing or shining, but it had a strange look. A soft pattern surrounded it like a symbol etched into the skin. He had never seen it before. It hadn't been there before the crash. He touched the scar and felt a quiet hum. Deep inside. Just then, the door opened slowly. Minna stepped in with a small bowl of fruit and a folded robe. She saw Rehan's uncovered shoulder and stopped. Her eyes widened. "That's it," she whispered. "The same mark from the story." Rehan quickly pulled the robe over his shoulder. "You've seen it before." Minna nodded slowly. "In the learning hall, there's a drawing of the Star One. It shows the same mark." Rehan stood. "Can you take me there?" Minna hesitated, then gave a small nod. "It's not open to everyone, but maybe just for a little while." The learning hall was deep beneath the palace, built from smooth black stone that shimmered like water. The air was cool and quiet. Only a few lights glowed from the ceiling, shaped like stars. Minna led Rehan through a narrow path, past shelves of old scrolls and glowing stones. They stopped in front of a wide wall covered with images. Some were moving slowly, others were frozen. At the center was a tall figure, human-shaped, with his hand raised toward the sky. A scar across his shoulder glowed in silver. Rehan stepped closer. It was exactly like his. Minna pointed at the symbols under the image. "This says he came from the sky. He gave hope, and he left behind a sign for the next one who carries the light." Rehan stared at the image. "But I'm not him. I don't remember any of this. I'm just a technician from Earth. I fix wires and tools." Minna looked at him. "Maybe the light remembers you." That afternoon, Queen Tara called Rehan to the high chamber. She stood near the large window, watching the sky. Her hands were behind her back, and her face was thoughtful. "You went to the learning hall. she said without turning. Rehen nodded. I had to see it for myself. She turned slowly to face him. And now you know why I feared your wound. Rehen pulled back his robe and showed the scar. I don't understand how this got here. I didn't have it before the crash. It appeared after. The queen stepped closer and looked at it carefully. Her face became still. This mark, she said softly, was made by something more than injury. It is a symbol, a key. It is not natural. Rehen frowned. Then where did it come from? The queen looked at him with calm eyes. Long ago, when the Star One came, he told us that a time would come when his path would return. Not through him, but through someone who shares his heart. This mark was left behind, locked away in time, waiting for a soul that could carry it. Rehen took a step back. Are you saying this was planned, that I was chosen? I do not know. The queen answered, but I do know this, your presence is not a mistake. Rehen looked away, unsure. He didn't feel chosen. He felt confused, small, uncertain. The queen placed a hand gently over his shoulder. There's more, she said. Come with me. They walked through a hidden corridor behind the throne room. The path was narrow and cold. Strange lights floated. Beside them, at the end, stood a large door made of dark glass. The queen touched the center with her palm, and it opened with a soft sound. Inside was a round room filled with old machines. At the center stood a crystal pedestal. Inside it floated a small object crown, glowing softly with swirling lights. Inside, this is the memory crystal, the queen said. It holds the last message of the Star One. It can only be opened by the one who carries the mark. Rehen looked at the crystal. And if I open it, what will it show? The truth, she said, or perhaps the beginning of it. He stepped forward slowly. The closer he got, the warmer the air became. His shoulder began to feel strange, like something deep inside was waking up. He placed his hand on the pedestal. The room filled with light. Images burst into the air, visions, sounds, colors. Rehen saw a sky burning with fire, a ship falling, a tall man, just like him, walking through storms. He saw the same scar glowing on the man's shoulder. He saw the man touching the ground of Shirail, healing broken stones with his hands. He saw him teaching, speaking, smiling. And then he saw darkness. The man looked tired. He held something in his hands, a glowing stone. He whispered into it, "This is my final gift. Let it find the one who shares my soul." Then he vanished. The light faded. Rehen stood still. The room was silent again. The queen walked beside him. Her voice was quiet. Now you understand. Rehen looked at his hands. They shook slightly. But I'm not him. I'm not that strong. I'm not that wise. She placed her hand gently on his arm. You don't need to be him. You only need to be true. That night, Rehen stood once more in the garden. The stars were bright. His scar no longer hurt. It glowed softly under his robe. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply. Something was changing inside him. Not fear, not confusion, but a quiet voice, a voice that whispered you were meant to be here. Rehen sat alone in the garden, watching the stars above the icy mountains of Shirail. The wind was soft, carrying the smell of frozen flowers that bloomed only during night. The light snow didn't bother him anymore. His body had started to adjust, or maybe something inside him had changed. His thoughts returned again and again to the vision he had seen inside the memory crystal. The man in the vision had his face, his scar, even his voice. But that man was calm, wise, and full of strength. He walked through storms, healed broken land, and gave light to a dark world. That man had left behind the glowing crystal with a final whisper. Let it find the one who shares my soul. Rehen looked down at his hands. They still shook a little. He was just a technician. He never wanted to be anything more than someone useful, someone who helped others with machines, wiring, and tools. But now, he was being asked to understand something far greater. Behind him, the quiet sound of footsteps touched the stone path. It was Queen Terra. She wore a long silver robe that flowed with each step. Her eyes were gentle. Tonight, I thought I'd find you here, she said. Rehen gave a small smile. I can't stop thinking about what I saw. Tara stood beside him and looked at the sky. I saw it too. The memory crystal does not lie, but it does not show the full truth either. Rehan looked at her. What do you mean? She turned to him. Visions from the crystal come from energy locked inside the soul. They are shaped by memory, but also by feeling. Sometimes they show the future, sometimes the past, but often they only show what is hidden inside the heart. Rehan was silent for a moment. So maybe I'm not him. Maybe I just carry part of him. Tara nodded. That is what I believe. You are not the star one, but you are the one he trusted to carry his light forward. Rehan stood slowly. But why me? I didn't choose this. I didn't ask for any of it. The queen met his eyes. The strongest lights are not chosen by noise or fame. They are chosen by silence, by truth, by kindness. You helped others before, even when no one watched. That is what the crystal answered. Later that day, Rehan followed Minna through the palace's eastern hall. She was excited, her steps quick. I want to show you something, she said. Something my grandmother once showed me when I was small. They reached a room full of floating stones and light. The walls showed moving stars and planets. It looked like the universe itself was alive in this space. Minna pointed toward the center. There, a round object floated, a small planet glowing softly. This is Shriel as it was long ago. Minna said, before the storms, before the cold. Rehan stepped closer. He saw forests, rivers, warm lands. The world was full of life and beauty. Then the image changed. The land cracked, the rivers froze, and the skies turned gray. The warmth faded, and snow began to fall. This was the great change, Minna whispered. Our world was dying. That's when he came. Rehan watched the vision. A tall figure stood under a dark sky. He raised a stone. Light flowed from it, and the land began to heal slowly. Then the image stopped. Minna looked at Rehan. Maybe you can finish what he started. Rehan stared at the frozen world. Maybe. But I don't know how. Later that evening, the queen called for him again. She stood near the great pool in the center of the palace. The water inside it was dark and still, reflecting the sky above. Like a mirror. This is the star pool, she said. It is not water. It is memory and truth. Rehan stepped closer. What does it do? It listens, she said. It listens to your soul. If your spirit carries the light of the star, it will show you a path. Rehan felt nervous, and if it shows nothing, Tara smiled softly, then you are still yourself. No harm will come. He looked at the pool. The surface was still, like glass. He stepped in slowly. The pool did not feel like water. It felt like light, soft, warm, and deep. As he stood in the middle, the pool began to glow. Images rose. He saw himself as a child on Earth, helping his brother fix a broken radio. He saw himself studying late at night, learning to build, learning to repair. He saw moments where he helped others without being asked, fixing power for an old woman, building a small light for a poor boy. Then the visions changed. He saw a ship in the stars, a crash, fire, then the same scar glowing on his shoulder. The pool pulsed with light. And then a voice, calm and deep, echoed from inside the water. You carry not my name, not my past, but my purpose. Rehan stood still, heart beating fast. The pool grew quiet again. The water turned clear. He stepped out, wet only with light. Tara looked at him with wide eyes. The star pool has accepted you, she said. It shows only to those who are true. Rehan took a breath. He didn't feel like a hero. He didn't feel powerful. But he no longer felt lost. He looked at the queen. What happens now? She smiled gently. Now, you choose. That night, Rehan sat again in the garden. The stars were bright. Snowflakes drifted slowly. He didn't know what the future would bring. He didn't know what his full purpose was yet. But for the first time, he felt steady. He had been given something special. Not power, not fame, but a chance to carry a light from the past into a better future. And he knew one thing now. He would not waste it. The sun was low over the icy peaks of Shriel as Rehan followed Queen Tara through the palace halls. The soft lights along the walls pulsed gently, casting long shadows that moved like slow waves. The silence around them was deep, but it did not feel empty. It felt alive. Ahead, the great chamber opened. Its floor was made of shining glass. And in the center, the star pool glowed softly, a calm pool of water that reflected the twin moons hanging low in the sky. The air smelled faintly of fresh rain and earth. Queen Tara stopped beside the pool and turned to face Ren. "This is the moment," she said quietly. "The trial of the star pool." Rehan's heart beat faster. He had seen the visions inside the memory crystal. He had felt the light inside the pool once before. But this trial was different. It was a test of the heart, a test only the true traveler could pass. "You must step into the pool," the queen explained. "It will open your soul. It will show what is inside you. If you are who you are meant to be, the pool will guide you forward." Rehan swallowed hard. "And if I fail," the queen smiled softly, "then the pool will close, and you will be free to choose your own path." Rehan stepped slowly toward the glowing water. His bare feet touched the cool glass floor before he stepped into the pool itself. The water was warm and soft, like silk moving over his skin. It did not feel cold or wet. It felt like light itself. As he sank deeper, the water shimmered and began to change. The surface rippled with colors and images. Rehan's mind opened. He saw his life on Earth, small moments of kindness, helping a friend fix a broken bike, comforting a scared child during a storm, working late nights to repair a damaged radio. Each moment glowed brightly. Then the images shifted. He saw the crash on Shirail, the pain in his shoulder, the cold snow, the queen's worried eyes. The pool pulsed. Rehan felt a deep warmth inside his chest. Suddenly, the images changed again. This time, they showed a dark future Shirail in shadow. The people struggling to survive under thick clouds and cold winds. The great forest dying. The rivers frozen solid. The star one's light fading. Rehan saw himself standing alone in the dark, uncertain, afraid. A voice echoed in the water, soft but clear. "Will you carry the light when the darkness returns?" Rehan opened his eyes inside the water. The pool glowed brighter. The question echoed in his heart. He remembered his family on Earth, his little sister's smile, the way his father had told him to always be kind. He thought of the friends he had lost when the crash happened. He thought of the people here, on Shirail, who had shown him kindness even though he was a stranger. "I will," he whispered. The pool's light grew stronger, surrounding him like a warm hug. He felt the weight of the mark on his shoulder, no longer painful, but full of power. Images filled the pool again, this time of hope, trees growing tall, rivers flowing, the skies clearing, the people of Shirail laughing and building together. A bridge shining between Earth and Shirail, connecting to worlds. When the light faded, Rehan slowly stepped out of the pool. His body felt lighter. His heart was calm. Queen Tara smiled warmly. "You have passed the trial." Rehan looked at her. "What happens now?" She took his hand gently. "Now, you must decide. You can return to Earth when your ship arrives, or you can stay and help us rebuild. The choice is yours." Rehan walked slowly through the palace halls, thinking deeply. He remembered the crash and the cold, the kindness of the aliens, the stories of the Star One, and the choice now before him. He stopped by a large window overlooking the snowy plains. The stars twinkled in the dark sky. Minna appeared quietly at his side. "You passed the trial," she said softly. Rehan nodded. "Yes, but I still don't know what to choose." Minna smiled. "Maybe it's not about what you choose now, but what you believe." Rehan looked at her. "I believe in hope, in kindness, in helping others." Minna's eyes shone. "Then you are already on the right path." That night, Rehan sat alone under the twin moons. The scar on his shoulder no longer hurt. It felt like a soft glow beneath the skin. He thought of Earth, the people he loved and missed. He thought of Shirail, the gentle people who trusted him, the queen who believed in him. He knew rescue would come soon. A ship from Earth would arrive to bring him home. But in his heart, Rehan felt a new truth growing. He was not just a survivor. He was a bridge between two worlds, between past and future. Between fear and hope. At dawn, Rehan met Queen Tara in the Great Hall. The palace was filled with soft morning light. The queen looked at him kindly. "Have you decided?" Rehan smiled. "I will stay. I want to help. I want to learn. I want to build a future for both our people." Tara's eyes shone with relief and joy. "Then we welcome you as our friend and guide." She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Where the mark lay hidden, Rehan felt warmth spread through his body. Together, they looked out toward the rising sun. A new day was beginning. The day was quiet and cold on Shirail. The palace was calm, but the air was filled with a strange tension. Rehan stood by a large window, looking out at the snow-covered mountains and frozen lakes. The wind whispered softly outside, but inside, his heart was loud. He thought about Earth, the place where he was born, where his family waited for him. The ship from Earth was coming soon. Rescue was near. He could leave this strange, beautiful world and return home. But could he leave Queen Tara and the people who trusted him? Could he leave the light that now glowed inside him? Her hand scar no longer hurt. It was part of him now, a symbol of something greater than pain or fear. Queen Tara entered the room quietly. Her silver robes brushed the floor as she walked to stand beside him. "You seem troubled," she said softly. Rehan sighed. "I am. The ship from Earth will arrive soon. They will take me home." The queen nodded. "And what do you want?" Rehan looked at her. "I don't know. I want to go home to my family. But I also want to stay here to help you, to help this world." Tara smiled gently. "That is the choice of the heart. No one can decide but you." Rehan spent the next hours walking through the palace and the gardens. The snow glittered in the pale light. The people of Shirail moved quietly around him, preparing for the coming ship. They looked at him with hope and respect. Minna joined him near a frozen pond. "Are you ready to decide?" she asked. Rehan shook his head. "Not yet. I feel torn." Minna looked up at the sky. "Sometimes we must listen to more than our minds. We must listen to the quiet inside." Rehan nodded slowly. "The quiet tells me something, but it is hard to hear." That night, Rehan went to the star pool one last time. The water was still and calm, reflecting the stars. He stepped into the pool and closed his eyes. Images came again, memories from Earth, from Shirail, and from the man in the vision. A voice echoed softly. "Your journey is not over. Your heart will guide you." Rehan felt peace. When he stepped out, Queen Tara was waiting. The next morning, the rescue ship appeared in the sky, a bright silver shape that moved slowly through the cold air. The people of Shirail gathered outside the palace to watch. Rehan stood beside the queen, ready to say goodbye or to stay. The ship landed gently on the snowy ground. The door opened, and soldiers and scientists stepped out. Among them was Rehan's brother, a kind-faced man who ran to him with tears. Rehan ran forward. They hugged, holding tightly. Later, Rehan stood at the edge of the palace with the queen and Minna. His heart felt full but heavy. The queen smiled. "Will you go?" Rehan looked at the sky. "I will visit Earth, but I will stay here too. I want to help build a new future, one where our worlds are friends." Minna nodded happily. "We will wait for you." Rehan touched the scar on his shoulder. "This is my promise." The ship lifted off, carrying Rehan and the people of Earth back toward the stars below. The palace shone with soft light. The mountains stood tall and strong. Rehan looked back once. The queen waved from the palace window. He smiled. His journey was just beginning. The sky above Shirail was bright and clear. The twin moons hung low, casting gentle silver light over the palace and the snowy land. Rehan stood on the balcony of the great hall, looking out over the world he had chosen to protect and serve. He had returned from Earth, as he promised. His family was safe, and his heart was full of love and hope. But here, on this distant world, a new journey had begun. Rehan's scar was still there, glowing softly under his robe. It was a sign not of pain or fear, but of strength and connection. The people of Shirail gathered in the palace courtyard to welcome him back. Minna smiled brightly as she ran to meet him. "Welcome home," she said warmly. Rehan laughed, feeling lighter than he had in months. "It is good to be home." Queen Tara joined them, her eyes shining with pride and kindness. "We are grateful." You returned. Rehan bowed slightly. I could not leave what we have started. In the days that followed, Rehan worked with the people of Shirail. Together, they repaired broken machines, built new homes, and planted gardens beneath the icy sky. Rehan shared stories of Earth, teaching the aliens about human technology and ways to create warmth and light. The people listened eagerly, and their world began to change. Where once there had been silence and cold, now there was hope and laughter. One afternoon, Rehan stood with Queen Terra in the palace garden. The silver leaves of the trees shimmered gently in the sunlight. Your courage has inspired us all, the queen said softly. You carry the light not only of the Star One but of every kind heart. Rehan smiled. I only followed what was inside me. She looked at him with deep respect. That is the true power. Rehan thought often of his family on Earth and the new friends he had found on Shirail. He knew the journey between the two worlds would be long and difficult, but he also knew that the light inside him was strong enough to build a bridge. One day, he hoped, the people of Earth and Shirail would meet as friends and partners, sharing knowledge and kindness across the stars. The scar on his shoulder reminded him of the past, the crash, the cold, the strange new world that had saved him. But it also reminded him of the future, a future filled with hope, friendship, and new beginnings. Rehan looked up at the sky, the twin moons shining bright. He whispered quietly, I am ready. End of story.